A very good evening and a warm welcome to everyone present here. I'm Arvind, a manager at Entrepreneurship Cell IIT Madras, and on behalf of the whole organization, I welcome you all to the very first session of Getting to Know Insti Founder Series 2022, wherein IITM alumni founders share their experiences and valuable insights and address your entrepreneurial queries to simplify and demystify the process of starting up. I'm extremely honored to welcome our guest for this evening, Mr. Sandeep Medarametla. Mr. Sandeep is a CEO and co-founder of EatX, which aims to build a modern operating system to scale kitchens using data science, computer vision, and artificial intelligence. To add on to his glory, he is also the co-founder of Mande Chain, which builds a human capital network on blockchain. Not only these two, but he has also founded several other companies like Desto Designers, Chance Guild, Putpiece, and many more. Good evening, sir. It's an absolute privilege to have you with us.
Thank you, Arvind, for the introduction. Hey guys, thanks for having me to talk to you. I hope to make this session count for all of you. Sort of, take something from me. I started my entrepreneurial journey when I am in college, like you guys. Back in the day, we don't have. When I am in college, there's no e-cell, by the way. At the point of time, it was in a limbo. To be honest, somebody sort of had a thing going, but there is no venture funding, there is no angel investors visiting college students, there is no research park, all of these things. But there were business plan competitions once in a while, and that's how it sort of these events make a lot of push in enabling students to sort of come and start doing things. Also, the awareness among professors to sort of encourage students to build things is also pretty low. Everyone was more keen on writing papers or sending students to PhD and stuff like that. But after Research Park, what happened is even professors are encouraging students to sort of start companies with their help. That's a massive shift in attitude and ecosystem in the last 10 years, the way I see it. So that way I definitely see all of you as pretty lucky in terms of having a lot of these things to go after, or speeches to listen to, or investors to pitch, or people, typically a large pool of people around you who are also students and who want to build things. Hence your chance of finding a co-founder also would increase because of that. So a really great thing to have a much more mature ecosystem, but still there is a long way to go. I'm not going to discount the fact that we didn't have things and you have things. Even you have a long way to go, and it's a process and evolution. I want to use this session to point out a couple of things, mostly on because there are advantages of having a lot of opportunities around you. And there are also advantages of not having any opportunities around you also, because when you have very less opportunities around you, you will think more in terms of what do I want to do. You'll spend more time in self-reflection and experimenting on your own till you really find out what you want to do. Whereas when you have a lot of options around you, when you see all these companies getting funded, your alumni doing this thing, that thing, round after round of funding, all these options in research park, these kind of sessions and stuff like that, you also tend to think that, hey, there is a lot I can do, and then you get confused on what exactly should I be doing with my time. Or I find that some of the students, they'll do one internship, they'll be part of one startup, they'll be part of one POR, then they also want to do academics, they also want to do sports and stuff like that, and that's too much on your plate and you get stressed out between, hey, what am I doing? So I want to make this session exactly about that, and less about me and what I have done. I'll definitely cover my story a little bit, because all of this comes from the inspiration I picked up along the way. But it's primarily about how do you think and decide, and how do you invest your time, because like I always tell students, the largest asset you have right now is your time, because you don't have to pay for it. What I mean by that is you have a free hostel, or you still have your parent support, or you have some scholarship coming in, and that extra time is basically you can invest something and make something 100x out of it. So that's, in my view, that's more valuable. Not that you will not have free time after college, you will have, but just that people will expect you to do a job Your family might sort of want you to get a job and, take care of yourself by yourself. At which time, you might be selling your time or renting your time to somebody else. And you might not have a similar freedom at that point of time, right? So I think let's make the session exactly about that. How do you sort of decide on things, on what you want to do, and how do you invest your time, and how to broadly think about the returns on your investment, like how to sort of invest your time and get something really valuable out of it. All of that boils down to how do you really build focus for yourself, some areas of focus on what you want to go about doing. So coming to to start with my story, so I was in college. I did a small startup out of college. What I started doing is I started building a small club of 20-25 students who used to do design and web development and stuff like that. Then I built a services company called Desto, where I went to our alumni only and told them, hey, I can develop a website for you or logo for you, or I can do a marketing campaign for you. And I got a project from them and gave it to these students. At the point of time, I mean, even now, students may mostly do free design work as coordinator or volunteer for Shastra and Sarang, which won't pay them. So I used to target the same talent pool and tell them, hey, Shastra and Sarang doesn't pay you, but I would pay you. So that's the difference. So you have to prefer doing this over that. Of course, Shastra and Sarang had its own status value and POR value on the resume and stuff like that. But I mean, when they work with me, they used to make money, right? So that's the catch. So I sort of built a small business where students can make pocket money on one side, and I get projects from our alumni network only. So I literally went to our alumni office and spoke to professor in charge of alumni office at the time, and then asked them to share me the database of all the entrepreneurs among our alumni who are running companies. So, and I sent them an email saying, hey, if you ever want a small website done or logo done or whatever, please contact me. And some of them did contact me. So I mean, fundamentally, that's what is entrepreneurship. You sort of see some kind of a problem. I saw that problem because I mean, I know someone and one alumni who is an entrepreneur actually reached out to me to sort of write some code for him and build a project, and he was ready to pay me money. So from that I understood, yeah, there is an opportunity here, right? And then I married that opportunity with a talent resource, low cost talent resource on campus. Not that they are unhappy; they are super happy with the parties we are throwing and money we are giving them for as payouts when they do the work. So it's a small business I built on campus. So that's my entry into entrepreneurship basically. After that, my ambitions have grown a little more. I started reading a lot of news about tech companies and all of that. So this time, I mean, when I started my next company, it was not completely organic. I was fascinated about the tech company scene and Silicon Valley and all of that, which might be happening to a lot of you right now. So I started a tech company like that. We raised some investment from an angel investor. I tried to build that company for about 1.5 years, and it didn't work out. I failed at that company. Then I took my first job. So that was my story, right? The reason I want to bring this about is when I started my first company, I didn't know anything, and that's a pretty good place to be in, right? Because it's just like fundamentals of entrepreneurship. You see a problem, and you see a way to solve that problem, and people are also paying you money for solving this problem. I mean, so you have a business which you organically discovered and went about building it, right? So I think I mean, building a company should ideally be like that, where you personally see a problem or figure out a problem, uh, and then you sort of try to solve it, and you figure out people pay for it, and you can also make profit out of it. After a point of time, you might also realize that there is a way to scale it, at which time you might raise some venture money or whatever and to scale it up, right? So what I mean by telling this story is the discovery process of building a company should organically start like that. It should not, I mean, sometimes, we sort of come up with this shiny new idea, go tell a friend and say, beautiful idea. Then somebody starts copying you. Because they start copying you, then you're also feeling FOMO and you want to do it first. Like all that crap doesn't work mostly, right? So what I'm trying to point at is, I mean, entrepreneurship is some sort of an art where you see a problem and you sort of see an opportunity to make money out of it and solve the problem. And that's how you build a business. And organically, it has to go like that. At least college entrepreneurship, in my view, has to look like that, right? I mean, you might ask me questions. For example, if you take founders of Stripe, who basically started Stripe out of college, right? Or Zuckerberg, who started Facebook. How did they build these crazy ideas and big companies out of college? Like, if you really go back into their history, right? These guys literally, the Colson brothers who started Stripe, they literally started some 6-7 experiments even before starting Stripe, right? In the US, like, kids startup out of high schools when they're in 8th grade or 9th grade. Like, they start building some Android app or iOS app in the store, or they start building something for their college students and stuff like that. It's not only about writing code. It's about, the experience you get out of that. I mean, how you think about money, how do you think about talking to somebody and making them pay to you, how do you think about convincing somebody to work for you, right? And then think about, okay, fine, this business has to reach the situation, how do I sort of go to next level, how do I convince an investor? So entrepreneurship is a culmination of all these plethora of skills, which you can mostly only gain by experiencing them, with certain attitude and bent of mind, right? Or, you can help other entrepreneurs or join other startups and stuff like that. Like, nobody had it like straight off, is what I'm trying to say. Just because Patrick Colson and Mark Zuckerberg started out of college, you should not forget the history or track record of failures or success they have had, for them to finally like reach the big company. Otherwise, what is starting a big company? You have this beautiful crazy idea, you immediately launch a product, everybody uses it, then you go raise your venture round of funding, then after somebody puts in money, somebody else puts in more money. Like, it looks so obvious how it happens: series A, series B, series C, series D. uh, but then the nuances, or the amount of hacking you need to do, or the amount of right decisions you need to make, and it has to look like, see, the relationship between you and your co-founder has to be really organic. The problem you choose should be really organic. Like, you should not be inspired, hey, I mean, cloud computing is trending, so I'll build something in cloud computing. Crypto is trending, I'll do something in crypto. That does not put you in a great place to build a company. Or it does not put your intent in the right place. It's about marrying the right intent which you organically discovered with the right steps. I mean, raising the right kind of money, or finding the right set of co-founders, or doing the right things to acquire your customers. It's both. What I'm trying to say is, you need to have all this knowledge of what is TAM, what is SOM, what is venture money. All of that knowledge is necessary, but what's more necessary is the natural instinct that's coming from inside, when you sort of look at a problem and you going and figuring it out, right? So I think that balance is what I see missing, in today's entrepreneurs who want to start in college, especially based on my experience. I mean, they sort of think, hey, it's a shiny opportunity. Hey, this idea, somebody raised money, so I also need to do that. Like, all of that is like literally pure BS. I mean, that's not how entrepreneurship works. And that I learned that the hard way, like I said, I mean. So that's the reason I wanted to share my experience with you guys, right? uh, I think the second most important point is relationships, on college campus. I mean, like I said, you are in college, you find co-founders, and I mean, both of you have nothing much to lose, but then you sort of find you might have, some of you who tried might have found yourself in middle of conflict, or things not working out and stuff like that, which is pretty common, by the way. It even happens to me even now when I'm starting a new company. I have to go through co-founder conflicts, right? So that's what I mean. Building these relationships take time. Understanding who you are, what your skills are, what your intentions are, and understanding what kind of people will you attract, and what kind of people will stay with you, with whom you can have sustainable relationships with, right? That itself is a big thing, because once you start your business life, the kind of people you are going to hire, the kind of partners you are going to have, the kind of co-founders, like every single thing is basically a relationship. And entrepreneurship is such a game that you cannot do it alone. Like, you need to figure out ways to trust other people, with your money, with your time, with your ideas. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, probably, like, when you're finding your co-founder, if you're really pessimistic, the first doubt you'll have is, okay, fine, I found a nice guy who can be my co-founder. What if he steals my idea? What would I do at that point of time? Like, how do you really answer? What is the solution for that question? right? You count on somebody as your co-founder, but you have a question in mind saying, what if they steal my idea, right? What is the answer for that question? Like, how do you sort of solve that problem? Sounds logical, right? So that's where the ability to build trust comes in. I mean, how do you really build trust while having a equal relationship with them? How do you explore compatibility with them? And how do you make sure that he and you will stick around and keep things going, right? Stuff like that. And the same goes to an employee, right? When you have money tomorrow and you have money to spend to hire employees, uh, so how do you make sure that, hey, if I spend X amount of money, uh, these people will actually deliver the work, they're going to stick around with me, or it's going to go well, and I don't waste the company's money. How do you sort of think about that? So that is the second component I want to talk about. So the first component I spoke about is, how do you organically be an entrepreneur? How do you organically find problems, find solutions, and then build a business around it, and learn the process? Like, it's an important question to ask yourself, whether the ideas are organic or not to you. Whether you I mean, if there is no organic idea for you, it's okay. I mean, you don't have to be an entrepreneur immediately. I mean, you can be an entrepreneur when you find a real problem to solve. Till then, take a break or go help somebody else, other entrepreneur whom you believe in, or go get a job. So second important point of this journey is relationships. How do you really, like, build an ability to, or some level of skill set to build trust with some other people, whether they're co-founders, whether they're investors, or whether they're people who you give money to and get your work done in the product, which is a company. And how do you sort of build this team of people, right? That's the second part. Now it's complicated because, uh, unlike a corporate company where it's pretty much established. When a corporate hires an employee, they know what they're going to do for the next 2-3 years. If an employee does not fit into one department, they'll pick up this employee and put them in another department where he can succeed and the company can succeed. But when you're running a startup, you don't have that options. You might discover that in 3 months after you started, you might discover your idea might not be working and you might want to pivot, right? You might hire somebody for some particular skill set, both as a co-founder and as an employee, and then you discover that these skill set are not actually what is needed, because you're also figuring it out. So a lot of variables you're figuring out along the way, one by one, and along the way you're making decisions about what kind of people you need from a skills point of view, right? For example, you have a CTO who is a web developer, and suddenly you needed something to do with ML, which means that the CTO should also be flexible enough to learn ML. Maybe that's where you'll both quarrel, right? Stuff like that. Or you suddenly decide that there is not much tech in the whole idea in the beginning. Both of you have to do sales. You have to do sales because that's what company needs, right? So when you start a company out of college, especially, the amount of clarity you will have in the idea and the scope going forward will be pretty low. So I would recommend you guys to acknowledge that and keep it upfront when you build teams, right? I mean, don't get too carried away by the coolness of your idea, or amount of clarity you have. Like, the fact is, you don't have much clarity, and that's the truth. It's very tough to have that clarity in the beginning. And if anybody is saying they are clear, they are like crystallized, this is it, this is going to become a $1 billion company, they mostly don't have a clue. I mean, so you have to sort of try to break out of that kind of a shell. And friendship can lead to some good relationships in co-foundership as well, but then that has to be matched up with work ethic. I mean, keeping promises, or being I think the most important quality is also being vulnerable with each other. I mean, being open. Hey, I mean, being upfront about it, about things. Hey, this is my weakness. This is where I fall short. So don't expect this from me. Or, I mean, this is my expectation and stuff like that. You cannot keep your own things to yourself and then expect your relationships to work out great, because without vulnerability, trust won't happen, especially when you're in college. At least after a point of time in your life, when you have more resources, when you have more money, and when you have a lot of experience, maybe clarity will come a little more easier, but not in college, most likely, unless you have prior experience. So it's very important to be friendly, at the same time be committed with certain level of work ethic, because you're trying to build a company. Not bullshit each other, and be very vulnerable. I mean, that's very important. The third thing within the relationships, it is super important to, you know, I mean, this whole equity splits. Hey, you're an I came in late, you came in before. You know, all of these issues, right? In the sense, you're making all the decisions, I'm not making all the decisions, and stuff like that. It's also super important to sort of, you know, keep a check and balance on those things. Understand one thing: you might most probably fail. Very few companies out of college succeed. There's no story in India so far which started out of college to two second year kids or two which became a $1 billion company. Not even one story. So most probably you won't either. But not to discourage you, because the chances are really low. Don't worry too much about who owns how much, who came in first, who came in next, and stuff like that. Right? In a situation where most of you are going to fail, it's better to be like, you know, I mean, if you succeed, even a 1% will mean $100 million. But if you fail, it's zero anyway. So don't worry too much about equities or, you know, stuff like that. Just be nice, you know, build a nice foundation for your company, for your team, and if things go well, great. Then talk about those things. But I don't see much value in, you know, defining it, saying, hey, I am the guy who started, so I'm the founder. You're an employee in college when there is nothing, right? So these are the rough tips and tips. So essentially what I'm trying to say is focus on relationships, break out of the ego, acknowledge the fact that you don't know much, just like the other person, and acknowledge the fact that there is a lot of things that are going to change along the way. And because they're going to change along the way, flexibility pays off more than, you know, skill set or anything else, right? Those things can be built along the way. So that's about relationships. Third most important thing is money. You know, I mean, because entrepreneurship needs some amount of money, right? You might need some money to get started in the form of capital and stuff like that. So try to sort of build in tech. Software is the advice I give a lot of times to people, because software is pretty cheap. You can use your time and build some software and launch it and get a customer to pay you to start with. That's the biggest advantage, which means you don't have any upfront capital. It's a pretty bad idea to take money from your parents, because you know, I mean, there are many schemes. Like Nirman is one. They give you 2 lakh rupees to start something. You know, I mean, if you go to Amazon AWS, they give you a free server worth $1,000 to just launch something, or you can launch a Heroku server. You know, you have all these labs in Insti which you can basically go and use for free. So even if you're building something in robotics or whatever, you can still use these labs and get some grant from somebody, or, you know, talk to some professor or stuff like that and make it happen. So try not to put in any money when you're in college. You know, any serious money taken from your parents, or you know, don't spend your college fee on founding companies and stuff like that. Try to sort of, you know, beg, borrow, steal. Try to reach out to somebody and ask them for money, or, you know, get a grant, or go to Nirman, or try to use some lab, and, you know, because like I said, your time is a little cheap, so there is no hurry. You know, try to invest time more than investing money into making things happen. It's okay even if it takes 2-3 years. Then finally you have something, and after graduation you can pursue it. Great situation to be in. Don't expect $1 billion outcome when you're in campus. You know, work very frugally and, you know, build something valuable. So that is so I mean, like I said, be very organic about the problems you pick. Your time is your investment. Don't sort of take over leverage and take risk with money from parents or whatever, not necessary. Try to beg, borrow, steal from your ecosystem with co-founders or employees or interns that you would hire. You know, just keep an open culture where, you know, don't create hierarchies saying that you are less, I am more, and stuff like that, but hold people accountable, saying that, hey, you know, recruit people with some level of work ethic and stuff like that. So that's the way to roughly think about it. That's the way I would think about it. I wish all these three things somebody would have told me when I'm in college. Would have saved me some time. So that's roughly what I wanted to tell. I think now on we can sort of keep it a discussion where you can ask me things and I can tell you things.
Yes, so thank you for sharing various aspects of entrepreneurship from your experience as an entrepreneur. To make this session more fun-filled and exciting, with your permission, can we have a rapid fire round? Like, I'll ask you 3 questions, which you'll have to answer instantly.
Yeah, sure.
Can you carry forward with that?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Firstly, I would like to ask you, if a movie was made of your life, what genre would it be?
What genre?
would it be?
Leadership. It'll be about leadership.
That's interesting to know, sir.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next one. Are you a morning person or a night person?
Am I a?
Morning person or a night person? One who works.
I'm a morning person.
That's glad to know, sir. Even I do resonate with you in this aspect.
Yeah. I used to be a night person when I was in college, but after that, I'm pretty much a morning person.
Great, sir.
Yeah.
Last but not the least, what would you do if you woke up as Ratan Tata?
What would I do if I woke up as Ratan? I'll pretty much do whatever he's doing. I mean, play with his dogs and try to sort of do some charity and stuff like that. So I think he's doing it right. I'll also do the same.
That's great enough, sir.
Yeah.
Up next, since you have mentioned about PORs like Sarang and Shastra, how did you make use of PORs? Like, did you take up any other PORs in Insti?
Yeah, so I did some PORs, but to me they are not very particularly valuable because after second year I figured out, entrepreneurship is what I like, or technology and entrepreneurship is what I like. So I mostly hanged around in CFI and trying to do things. I decided not to do a lot of things. First year I have done everything, I did a little bit of sports. I was a volunteer in Shastra. I was part of labs. I was not trying to miss any classes and stuff like that. I figured out by the end of first year, I figured out that, by doing everything, I'm not getting any rest for myself, and that is screwing me up even more. So second year I decided I'll only do 2 or 3 things and I'll do them well. So yeah, I didn't do Shastra and Sarang after second year. Second year, first time I have done Shastra courtship. That's my last. After that, I have not done anything. I think it's cool. I mean, but you need to understand what is important for you, right? You need to plan up. I think it's a fairly good experience for a lot of people who are eventually trying to sit for placements or join consulting jobs and stuff like that. By second year, I figured out that that's not me. So I didn't do that. Most of my time I spent after second year, I spent whether in CFI or building my own business. Those are my 2 major hobbies. That's what I did.
That was amazing to hear from you, sir.
Yeah.
The most common difficulty that we all face when we are starting up is that we start thinking that we don't have any idea how to start up. So, sir, can you tell us about your experience of how you used to identify problems and how you approach solving them and came up with ideas as solution for those problems?
So I would say when it comes to identifying problems and trying to sort of understand how much money people will pay for it, will it become a business or not? I had certain level of natural knack for it. The reason again being, my dad is an entrepreneur at home, and he used to tell me a lot of ideas when I'm a child and all of that. So I got a little bit of head start on that aspect. But I would actually, there are times in my life where I didn't have ideas. In college I had ideas, but later down my career and stuff like that. For example, after my first startup outside campus, I didn't know what to do. I was blank because I didn't have any problems to solve. So I went for a job. I went to work for a startup. I had amazing work experience for 2 years. I helped the company grow and all of that. Then eventually I had some more ideas and I came out of. So when you don't have any ideas, don't worry about, I don't have ideas, help somebody else, is what I would say. Because like I said, problems have to show up in your life, right? And you have to see them. If you go in search of them, if you go trying to find ideas, I think it's a very, very futile effort. It's a very, very wrong starting point to start with. Yeah. So if you don't have ideas, help somebody. Maybe if you believe that some other friend who is trying to work on a company, if he's authentic and he has a nice problem to solve, help him for some time. Till you find your own idea. Be very nice and genuine with him. Like I said, idea it has to happen to you organically. I don't think it can be found. That's the first thing I told, right? That's my opinion, anyways. I mean, that's what I believe in very strongly.
Yeah, that was really motivating for all of us, sir. Yeah. As we are all young minds here, full of energy, and we are ready to face challenges and adapt to any environment. it would be beneficial for us to start early, right? Can you please throw some light on advantages of starting up early with regards to desktop designers, which you founded at the age of 19 itself?
Yeah. So can you repeat that question? Sorry. Make it crisp.
Yeah, I just wanted you to throw some light on advantages of starting up early in life with regards to the desktop designers, which you founded at the age of 19.
Yeah, I mean, like some of you would have started IIT coaching like when you're ninth class and eighth class, right? Why did you do that? Because you wanted to sort of get an edge. So I think that advantage is there in entrepreneurship also. I mean, whatever you spend your time on, it compounds. So I would say, yeah, I mean, starting up early on really helped me understand the things I told about, what kind of people to have in my team, what kind of ideas to choose and what kind of ideas not to choose, how to build trust, if there is a breakup situation, how to handle it. All of these, or how to raise money, how to reach out to investors, when will an investor invest in you and when will he won't, stuff like that. I also try to do a lot of mistakes, which I figured will not work eventually, and all of these, all the uncertainty, when you're running out of money, what do you do? How do you have that feelings and how do you face them? All of these experiences make you a stronger person. So similar to how you sort of did your IIT JEE early on and it helped you, this definitely helped me in the sense, it's definitely an exercise that I went through in entrepreneurship. It sort of helped me acquire a lot of skill sets along the way.
Thank you, sir. That really helped us know the importance of starting up early.
Yeah.
Now, let's give the mic to the audience. Like, if they have any questions, let them pop it out.
Yeah. So there are some questions actually in the chat window. I'll take these first maybe. Pratik Dhande asks, how you identify people while building the team? Because team provides a solid foundation. Yeah, so building a team is also pretty tough, just like finding an idea happens to you. I think to be able to build a good team, first of all you need to be in places where there are many good people, okay, which is naturally there for you in IIT, because there are many talented kids around you, so that problem is solved. Beyond that, I mean, so talk to people, like, socialize a lot, this kind of clubs help and all of that. See who is countering you, with whom are you able to have a conversation, like regular dating game. How would you sort of date? The same thing applies to co-founder thing as well. How do you sort of date each other and start off and stuff like that? I mean, don't put hardcore relationships in the beginning. Maybe tell each other saying, hey, let's sort of work together for 3 to 6 months and see how our relationship goes. If it doesn't go well, cool, we will split up. If it goes well, then we'll find an idea and work on together. So I think the rules of dating apply here also. So give things time. As you give time, what happens is the number of people you meet increases, the amount of network you have increases. When you have an idea, then you'll be able to sort of scan and see whom of the people that I like will also fit into this idea. So I mean, a lot of finding team members or co-founders will boil down to the amount of network you have and the kind of credibility you have in the network, and your ability to sort of connect with people and build trust. Like I said, it's a set of skill sets again, and with some wealth compounded. So yeah, so that's how you identify a team. IIT is a great place to identify a team and start trying out. How you used to manage your acads? Yeah, I did pretty poorly on academics. I think I did some 6.5 or 7. Like I said, I gave most of my time in CFI and entrepreneurship, which I don't regret. I was able to sort of do a little bit of academics and get through. I gave minimal time to it. That's me, but like I said, you need to understand what works for you. If you are somebody who wants to do good in academics, do it. Don't be inspired by me on that. But I didn't do really well in acads. Will you prefer equity or loan? It depends. There are two kinds of companies. If I have a really profit generating company, for example, EatX, the company I'm working on, I'll definitely prefer a loan, because we are making profits and stuff like that. So if I take a loan, I can pay it back and grow the company also. But if it's a fast growing loss making business, I would prefer equity. So I think it's a decision you need to make based on the kind of business model you have and kind of performance it shows, more than loan. Also, there are many good equity options today, like convertible. It also depends on the kind of opportunities you get, convertible notes and stuff like that. So when opportunity comes in, and based on the kind of business you have, you need to make a decision on that. If you have a profit making, organically growing business, go for a loan. If you have a business which will hyper grow, even though it creates loss in the beginning, go for equity. I think the knowledge exists on this online also. There are many YouTube videos. Y Combinator Startup School talks a lot about this. So do those courses for getting this knowledge, because I also have done all those courses. In spite of the fact that I have done them recently, because I wanted to get some of the knowledge myself. Hi sir, thank you for your valuable session. I have a question. For any of your companies, did you apply for funding overseas? How was the process different? Yes, I applied to Y Combinator and stuff. I went to interviews for some of them, but they rejected me. So I mean, the best way to get funding from US is accelerator programs, Y Combinator. There are many other accelerator programs. Again, if you do your research, you'll get a well-vetted list. There is Entrepreneur First and stuff like that. I was part of Entrepreneur First program. So the best way to get funded when you're in college from overseas is accelerator programs, I would say. So just make a list of all accelerator programs and keep writing good applications to them. That really helps. What all
Sir,
issues? Yeah.
can I interrupt you for a moment? Sorry,
Yeah,
sir.
please.
Like, may I ask the audience to raise their hands and let them unmute to ask these questions to make it more interactive?
Yeah, anyways, it's cool actually. We can do this also. But if you want to speak up, you can do that, guys. So we have two more questions. Pratik, what all issues you face during market research? Did you expect outputs from people? So I have never done market research before starting a company. Like I said, I saw a problem and I saw that people will pay for it. Then I started the company first, and as we made more money, then we did market research. So initially, I still think there is no need for market research. All you need is the customer interaction and problem and solution and paying for it and stuff like that. That is part of building a company. It's not necessarily a part of market research. But yeah, as a company grows, market research is necessary at an advanced state. But it is also very tough to get a lot of data about the market and tell what's happening in the market exactly. But these days, a lot of research material is available online. When you have more money, you can also hire some MBA people to do proper market research for you and stuff like that. But I think initial stages of starting a company, you don't need market research. Pratik, can you throw some light on getting your first customer? I heard in a podcast that if you can sell your product to your friends, then you can sell to anyone. What's your opinion on it? It depends on the industry. If you're in a B2B industry, right? For example, EatX. None of my friends actually are restaurant owners or kitchen owners. So I mean, this thing fails there. If you can sell to your friend, you can sell to anyone. But if you are building something, a generic app like Instagram or Facebook and stuff like that, then of course you can sell to your friends and then sell it to anyone. But like I said, a lot of good companies come out on based on the problems you face. I mean, I did another cloud kitchen company called Food Street before EatX. So EatX is an outcome of the problems I faced for myself when I am running a food business. So I decided to build it and solve it to other companies, right? Or like I said, focus on finding the right problem. Customers, if you really don't know any of the target customer also, that generally does not happen, because unless you know the target customer, you won't see the problem in the first place, right? So then you're probably building the wrong thing. I'm not sure. So first customers will come when you're seeing the problem yourself. But anyways, if you really want to go down that route of talking to people, then finding their problems and then solving them, I think you can reach out to them these days. I'm sure you can write a message on LinkedIn to anybody saying, hey, I'm interested in your industry and I want to build something for you. I'm a techie with these skills and I want to I want to solve problems for you. For that, I need to first understand what problems you're facing. Can I talk to you for some time and understand your problems so I can solve them? I am sure if you send a message to 10 people, at least 3 or 4 will respond, because you're essentially showing up and telling them, I want to solve some problem for you, which is a great thing. So you can just like cold message people to talk to them about their problems. Okay. Anonymous attendee asks, first of all, thank you so much for all the info. My question is, how can I convince the people who is smarter than me? Because I need these people to make my thought turn into reality. More specifically, I want to say how to manage those guys so that they don't leave. So first of all, whoever asked this question, they have a beautiful mind. Uh, beautiful question. Thanks for asking this. See, you can. There are many smart people out there. Okay, there are many people who are smart and who can do things, but a lot of them don't have a direction, uh, or don't know how to sort of create a purpose for themselves, right? I think if you are a creative person, with some creative thoughts, and if your process is right, if you are very very honest with yourself about the kind of problems you want to work on, and if you're authentic, if you're brutally honest in the way you speak, if you give it straight to people and stuff like that, I am sure that's what is needed to attract some smart people who are really good and nice, right? uh, and smartness is pretty subjective, in the sense, there might be one person who is pretty smart with programming, but is very very bad when it comes to relationships and handling relationships, right? So you need to sort of look at that kind of compatibility. I mean, you might be the kind of person who is very good with people and relationships, they might be the kind of person who is very bad with that. So that can be a reason where both of you can come together and create something beyond both of you, right? So you need to come up with propositions like that, where smart people see some kind of value, in when you approach them. Also, like I said, trust is a major issue, right? Because smart people have a lot to offer. Their time becomes very valuable, right? So naturally they will have very few people whom they can trust. So if you are the kind of person who can convince them and make trustworthy moves with them, they will stay with you, right? Now one more major catch here is you need somebody who is smart, also humble, not necessarily somebody who is smart and who is pretty narcissistic about it, because you cannot retain them doesn't matter what. So you need to also make your judgments really well on that. So I hope that's roughly the framework. Look at complementary skill sets or complementary value adds. Be very authentic, be straightforward, and be really genuine in the kind of problems you see and you pick and you want to work on. Because you don't have to be smart to find a problem to solve. You might have to be smart to solve the problem, but to find a problem, you don't have to be smart, right? So if you are the kind of person who goes and gets their hands dirty, very outgoing, and finds problems, then a person who is not that outgoing as much as you but more skilled will help you solve it. So you need to find that kind of a complementary force. But like I said, I mean, you're very prone when you're in college to insecurities, trust issues, and lack of humility and all of that, but you need to really find that. Okay. Do you consider starting an investment in college helps? I'm assuming that you want to become an investor when you're in college. Yeah, I mean, I would say do it with your money. Don't do it with other people's money. If you have your own money that you can invest, please do. That's a good start. uh, the reason I'm saying don't invest other people's money is, uh, which also means your parents' money, or stuff like that, is, I would not recommend it really, because there is a very good probability that you might fail, because it's very tough to be an investor. Um, so if you fail, you don't want to affect other people, right? So if you have your own money, then you can surely invest when you're in college. Sarthak says, we see many entrepreneurs hustling day in and day out. I'm sure you would be doing the same. There must be numerous decisions being taken by you daily with the potential to make or break the future of your company. How do you manage to cope up with all of your stress and establish a work-life balance? Beautiful question, Sarthak. First of all, I prepare myself for worst case scenarios really well. I mean, even if I lose all the company, all the money, I'm pretty chill with it. That's how I plan for it. So I don't expect that great things will happen, but if great things happens, then I sort of will be happy about it. That's how I train my mind. I know that most probably I'm going to fail. That's what I tell myself. So because I tell myself to that, if shit happens, I can face it really well. Number one. Number two is, I mean, some discipline helps. Sleeping well, waking up in the morning, going to gym or doing some exercise. I mean, taking care of your food really well and all of that. Like managing your health really helps. I think the thing that helps the most is having people around you who don't necessarily criticize you and put you down, uh, but who are also rational enough or smart enough to sit with you and explain you, hey, this is where you might be probably going wrong, so take a look at this. That kind of smart people who can help you or support you on your journey, if you have one or two of them, whether they're your friends or family or stuff like that, it really helps. I mean, I would say that is a rough framework, I would say. I mean, be prepared to fail, and just like visualize failure and be completely okay with it, heads on. Point number one. Point number two is put some discipline in your life which works for you, whether it is sports or something which is your coping mechanism, but sustainable coping mechanism, to sort of make your mind cool and all that. Third thing is one or two people who you really respect, who you don't do business with, but who is there to pay an ear and sort of reflect things with you, and who does not criticize you. Like entrepreneurship is already pretty risky and painful, so you don't want to be criticized on top of it. So somebody who really respects the fact that you're trying to take some risk, and but who is very rational, and who is trying to help you there, that really helps, if you can achieve that. Okay, what is the right time to start a startup? If you have an idea, should we have to gain some experience first in that field? Yeah, I mean, there are certain fields where experience really helps, but I would say if you have an idea, and if you think your idea is genuine and stuff like that, I would try to solve it. I would try to recommend you to solve it even if you don't have experience, because experiences will come along the way, or you might fail in the process, in which you will learn and you will move to the next idea. So I don't it will be nice if you have some experience first, but if you have time and if you can afford the risk, try to do it. There is nothing to lose, right? That's a rough sketch I would propose. You mentioned that you should identify a problem before beginning a project company. What problem did you identify in order to club the culinary and tech industry? Very unique industry. Thank you, Ishita. So the problem I identified is, the industry has been evolving and scaling much more faster because of cloud kitchens and QSR chains adventing globally. And the huge problem that all these people face is the manpower, including me. Like, how do you sort of build a team of cooks or whatever and retain them and stuff like that. So manpower is a huge problem, and there are some other problems which are related to manpower problem, like wastage and efficiency and stuff like that. That's increasingly becoming a problem, and I faced it myself. So my thesis was, eventually there is going to be some kind of automation, like software driven tools to start with, and eventually there is going to be some kind of robots which are going to replace humans. So I decided to build some projects around solving that problem, and eventually that can become a robotics company, as the industry takes it. So that's how I concluded on that industry. Chitranshu asks, when we do good market research on our idea, we most of the times find somebody doing quite similar to ours. So what should we do, be our approach further, if we don't have a great differentiation factor? Yeah, so when you do your preliminary market research on, hey, for example, if you feel like starting a t-shirts company, okay, uh, and you figure out there are 100 other people selling t-shirts, if it is such a thing, then drop it. I mean, like, people have been doing t-shirts companies for like years together, and what's the point of doing one more t-shirts company in 2022? So have some rationale around that, in the sense, why is this not done in the past? Why should it be done only now? And stuff like that. That kind of rational thinking will really help you drop bad ideas early on. Just because you want to start a t-shirt company does not mean you want to start. Or if you just want to start a t-shirt company for IIT Madras campus or some friends, where you can sell 10 t-shirts a day, if that's your agenda, then do it, right? So because it will give you experience at least. So that's a rough framework. It's a framework between what do you want to, what are you roughly aspiring or ambitious about. Whether it is about building a small business which will give you some profit, then do it. even if a lot of other people are doing it. If that is not the case, then I mean, think about things like why only now, is this right idea for 2022 and stuff like that. You need to ask questions like that. That's a rough framework. So don't go into a lot of market research and a lot of complaining, or this might work, this might not work, because you don't know a lot of things when you start up. But have a rough framework on, okay, fine, this is what has been happening in the industry. This probably is the right time to do it. That rough framework helps to start off. Pratik, could you tell us the mistakes which you did, and what could be your suggestions for aspiring entrepreneurs like us? Yeah, I mean, that's what I started the whole thing with, right? I have done various mistakes. So three major areas are, how do you do relationships, how your attitude towards money, and not investing your own family money or whatever. Third thing is, how do you pick ideas or problems to work on? These are three things, I sort of learned from my own experiences, and I told you to start off with. I don't have anything much on that to add. Chitranshu Wag. When we do good market research on our idea, we most of the times find someone doing something quite similar to ours. So what should be our approach further if we don't have a differentiation factor? Yeah, I think I answered this, Chitranshu. What exactly do you mean by idea being organic? Yeah, like I said, I mean, a problem which you have seen for yourself out of your own experiences is an organic problem, and the solution to that organic problem is the overall idea. That's what I mean by organic. When you see somebody doing it and you want to do it, or when you miss out those nuances, it's not organic, right? I mean, you're basically lying to yourself, saying, "Here is a cool idea." So that's what I mean by idea being organic. Yeah. Cool. There are. Yeah.
Are there any more questions from the audience? Okay, so since we have covered questions from the audience side as well, I would like to thank you, sir, for taking time off your busy schedule. It was a delight to host you, and I took away a lot from the session. And I'm certain that the audience did as well. Thank you, sir, once again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining. You can connect with me on LinkedIn and send me anything, ask me anything whenever you want. I'm available on LinkedIn. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.